you're starting up AM and you're considering 5S to be the first step, then you're in for some serious risks. Let's discuss. Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel where we talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And today's video, well, I've sort of did this video before, but a bit harsher. So this video will be a bit lighter on the whole 5S and AM, autonomous management, autonomous maintenance. And it's not that I now believe that 5S should be a part of, or actually a step in it, but it's that I've seen, again, a number of AM implementations where I see that companies keep pushing the idea that the 5S are a step in autonomous management. And it is, I think, a very dangerous thing to do, although it is definitely woven into it. And that's where I think the problem comes from. It is a logical duo. In fact, you cannot really do AM without 5S. That is true. So why then do I think that it is a problem to put it in as step 0, basically? Let me show you. So the thinking goes, since you first need to at least have some standards, and you need to have some order in your whole area around the machine, we first need to be able to do 5S before we can have success with autonomous management. And therefore, we make 5S into the foundational step of AM. So step 0. But then it is a circle, right? And not everyone shows 5S as a loop, although anyone showing it more or less like, number of steps, a pyramid, a thing like that, will then say, and now repeat. So that is the whole thing. It is not a step, right? A step assumes that you're done with it and you move on. So 5S is not something, I think it is not even something you can be done with, let alone be at a sufficient level of 5S before you start AM. No, that'll take way too long. So you will either stop 5S way before you are at any serious implementation level, because sorting and cleaning is not 5S. That is a little part of this puzzle. So if you did your nice initial clean out and you sorted away the stuff and you're shining it and you've even got your standards in place, but then that's just the beginning. Those standards, they need polishing. They need some shining themselves. So you'll be working with your shadow boards, with your placement of materials, and at some point operators say, doesn't really feel good. I would like to have my putty knife closer to here. I would like to have those brooms on the other side of the room. Stuff like that. And you do it. And then you go through the circle again. But at some point, I hope you will take 5S into the next phases where you're not talking about putty knives and brooms, but you're talking about, I would like that pallet to be slightly diagonal because it makes it easier to reach. I would like the packaging tray to be filled up a bit more and put slightly higher for ergonomic reasons. Things like that. So you're really talking about the process as part of what we are sorting and what we are moving into the places, so straightening into where we need them and standardizing that. That really is the sustain S, so to say, to go through that loop again, but then go through even more and more parts of your area. So it's not a step. It is a serious process. And in fact, there are many companies that have outstanding success doing 5S and not really caring about AM at all. So this system by itself is already very strong. But then the other part, when we look at autonomous management, autonomous maintenance, we look at the steps. And the first one is a total clean out or an initial clean out. That means that basically step 1 is getting things normal, right? So just making sure that you've got a clean line without all kinds of stuff lying around, without all kinds of defects. Just get it fixed. Get yourself a nice basis to move on to next phases. Now, that is a step 0, right? That's why it's step 1. Step 1 is just laying the groundwork. If you do step 0, well, step 0, if you do a proper 5S, you're not going to need step 1 at all. But then in step 2, we're going to look at how can we improve cleaning. So how can we make it easier to reach places? How can we get the tools that we need close to where we need them? How can we even reduce the amount of cleaning needed? And that is about 50 to 70% of what 5S also does. So what you see is that AM gives a specific focus, and the further we get into the steps, the more it will deviate from 5S, and the more it will really give its own value. But it also, at each of its steps, it builds upon the idea of having a better and better way of managing your standards, because that is what 5S does very well. Those small improvements at the line, and especially in the area standards. So you need it throughout the steps of AM. That's why it is not a step 0. A better way of joining those together is to understand that within AM, all the elements of 5S will be needed anyway. So you will be implementing it at a sort of a togethery way, and you will be improving your 5S game during the implementation of the journey of AM. Another great way to look at it is to say, look, we're doing 5S everywhere in the factory, and we're doing AM on our machines. So AM is specifically on and immediately around a line, but it's about the equipment. 5S is about everything around it. If we take a non-industrial simile, it is AM takes care of the car that you have in your garage. 5S takes care of the garage. And you want both of them to have a nice and efficient workplace. You need a good line, you need good standards, you need to have the technical steps 3 and 4 standards. You need it not to get dirty, that's the first and second step. You need the quality aspect and the way you operate it to be good, so that's 5 and 6. And then you go to full autonomy in step 7, which is actually a very good implementation of 5S directly on everything that you do, but you update the standards of all of those steps by the operators themselves. That is something you really want for your line. And I would say that any company would want to go up until step 4 or 5. So it's not even per se for all companies to reach step 7, but 4 or 5 is just you want that to happen to your lines. But you also need a good working environment around it. And now again, 5S, it is not cleaning. So this is not housekeeping. Well, very good housekeeping, perhaps. But that's only if you include into that housekeeping, where are we putting things? Where are my materials? How often am I restocking things? How am I going to make the environment around my line so that I work the best and most effective? And that's why you want both of them. And that's also why 5S is not a step within the AM pyramid. They can work together. Now I hope that that triggered you to have a good and critical look at how these two can indeed interact, but especially on how you should value 5S as a full-blown system by itself. If you like that explanation, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, this came out of some personal experience, but you know I also like lots of viewer interaction and questions, so if this raises questions, please do share. It'll give me inspiration for more of these nice videos for you. And for now, I wish you the best of luck in your 5S and AM implementation. And as always, don't forget to enjoy the continuous improvement journey.